So welcome today's IPC&M CPD Building Masterclass. My name is Julie Kennedy and I'm your host. And once more, I'm in very windy Zeeland. So thank goodness for headsets. Today in the hot seat, we have launch strategist and planner and marketing mentor Ray Richardson, talking on a very important topic for all of us, how to launch without burnout. Burnout, we help our clients with burnout, but also burnout for us. So first, some housekeeping. Our call today will be a maximum of 1 hour, which includes 15 minutes Q&A. Ray, I'll leave it up to you if you would rather have the questions as we go along or if we take them at the end. That's literally up to you. Otherwise, I would say park your questions in the chat. Like that, you can find them whenever, in case we forget what we wanted to ask in the first place. And use the chat box for any questions and suggestions. And I will keep an eye on that for you, Ray. Okay, so without further ado, over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Julie. Welcome, everybody. So wonderful to be here. I'm Ray, and we're all here to learn how to launch without burnout. So hopefully I can share some of my wisdom with you and put you at ease for your next launch whenever that is. So I'm going to share my screen. I've got a few slides to share with you. I'm a visual person, so hopefully everybody can see this. I tend to kind of work with that at the best. Okay, so in this session, we're going to talk about the different styles of launches that are doing well. We're going to look at how to find a style or what you should consider the style of launch that's right for you. And then I'm going to share a few tips of or the essentials for a burnout-free launch as well. So first of all, who am I? And I have 14 plus years in events, promotions and product launches. Head of marketing and promotions in a corporate gig, which seems like a long time ago now. I dipped my toes into freelancing during a career break, maternity leave, which made me step away from my career for a bit. I started my first events business back in 2017, and in 2020, we all know the pivotal year for a lot of people, I think. But with people in events, I kind of pivoted to launch planning and mentoring. And I now specialize in helping coaches, course creators, and mentors to launch specifically without burnout by being their sort of marketing manager, launch partner, and a project manager all rolled into one, being their kind of helping hand throughout that process. And ultimately making sense of marketing and maximizing the potential without needing to employ a team behind the scenes. So first of all, just so everyone is on the same kind of footing, what is burnout? So there's going to be an option in the chat I'm going to ask you in a minute, but let's first identify what that is. And according to the definition by the Mental Health UK, burnout is a state of physical and emotional exhaustion. Now, can anyone resonate with feeling like this at any point during their launch? Give me a 1 if it's a yes, and a 3 if you've never felt burnt out before. Okay, I can see lots of ones. As predicted, I think it's very few people that don't ever feel burnt out, but I'm on a mission to show people that it can be done. But genuinely, there's nothing worse than using up all your energy supplies in a launch and feel like you need a holiday before you actually start delivering your course or group program. And so this is why it's so key to sort of consider or take into consideration the unique way of launching that's right for you. And there is definitely a unique way for you that we can look at and help you find it. So to know what that unique way is, first of all, we need to look at the different ways that there are that you can launch. And the sort of what suits one business or business owner may not suit another. So what are the different methods? And I've identified 6 here. but there's lots of different ones. So these 6 ones, they're the kind of the favorite, the most popular, the kind of longest running ones as well. So challenge launch, it's for maybe people with communities. It works really well on Facebook. You can run a challenge, 1-day challenge, 3-day challenge, 7-day challenge, where you help your potential clients, your audience, to go from A to B in a very condensed short space of time. This tends to be quite high energy. So if you enjoy that kind of interactivity and engagement, it works really well. And communities and group leaders tend to take up this option. Second way of launching is through a workshop. This is kind of like a style of event that you invite people to join you on, perhaps a bit like a masterclass, where they kind of join into an event environment on Zoom. Thanks to COVID. Previously, it used to be in person, but now COVID, post-COVID world, it's all on Zoom. So a workshop on Zoom would look, a little bit for the presenter to share their skills, some experience. And the reason why that's one of my favorite ways is that it gives you a chance to share your wisdom. It gives you a chance to showcase what you do, how you do it in your kind of magic sauce, your secret sauce. And then it gives your audience a really special way of connecting with you and engaging with you, and that kind of live interaction and feedback. There's nothing kind of more rewarding sometimes to have that connection. And then at the end, you sort of offer an option to work with you, on the next level kind of thing. So that's very much, very gentle way of inviting people to work with you if it's right for them. So it's a great way for them to learn a bit more about you, and for you to learn about who has joined you and who you're kind of imparting your knowledge on. You could launch through a webinar series. This could work as a pre-recorded or a live. You could drip feed that into your emails. You could drip feed that into, again, a Facebook group, for example, and do that kind of a bit more laid back, I suppose, way. You could do a launch through a sort of a day summit or a conference, where throughout the day or throughout like a couple of days, you could unveil a little nuggets of information or the skills or the knowledge that you would normally share in like maybe a one-to-one environment or whatever level you work with people, and let them kind of engage with you and learn from you in that sort of way. You could launch through an online festival, which could run over several days. For example, it could be a collaborative event, a collaborative occasion where you join in with other people who maybe serve the same audience as you, for example, and you each piggyback off each other, for example, piggyback off each other's audiences and skills. And of course, that's a huge benefit, huge value to your audience, because they get, twice the amount of skills and experience and loads of knowledge that they hear from during that launch. The sixth option, the sixth kind of variation of launch, it could be a soft launch, which is when you have an evergreen program or an evergreen course that you enroll people regularly to, and you kind of drip feed that in your emails and do it kind of gently, invitation basis, and that kind of way. So without kind of the pressure of doors open, doors closing, make sure you take that kind of time-based offer driven one. And so why should you consider the different launch types? It's because the type that is right for you will depend highly on your personality. For example, if you are an introvert, I am one, so I can definitely resonate. You might prefer a pre-recorded webinar series, for example. If video is not your thing at all, you might prefer a workshop style, and so on. So considering the type of launch that the type of person that you are, and the type of content that you like to put out could really support you in choosing the method of launch that's right for you. And so the type of launch that is right for you will also depend on how you consume content from others, what style of content you create yourself, and what platform you do that on, and what platform you enjoy hanging out on, will also impact all of that activity. So it's very much the way kind of I work with clients is very much about leaning into you and leaning into your business for the kind of the strategic, the commercial benefit at the end. So rather than trying a new tool or going on TikTok because someone, you know, suggested it, really focus in on the things that you enjoy and the things that you like and the things that work for you, and maximize it and kind of really build on that in your launch. And all of these elements will play a vital role in deciding or taking into consideration the type of launch that you might decide to go with. There's also not really a right or wrong way of doing things. So you might actually want to try a mixture of approaches to launching and do, you know, a half and half. Another way I've seen done before as well is when you have a challenge launch and then you invite people to like a masterclass at the end, where you bring people into the room who have engaged, maybe offer some prizes, some offers during the masterclass, and kind of really get engagement going through that way. So there's no, you know, there's no kind of defined structure. You've got to do what's right for you, but be brave, play around, and hopefully you'll you know, make the most of the opportunity there. And sometimes we learn what we like or what we don't like by actually doing it. So be brave and have a go. Would you excuse me? My children are at the door knocking. I'm so sorry. They've obviously completely forgotten their keys. I'll be back 1 second.
No worries at all. We're all real people in the real world, so we can already start digesting what we've learned here. And of course, I forgot to tell you all to get your CPD pads and your pens out. So I shall be very scholarly and use the break to remind you to take profusive notes. There we are. We're back. Children are saved. There we are.
Yes, I'm sorry. It's really bad weather here as well. So I felt really sorry for them. Oh, God. Yeah, they're in the house. They can dry off now.
Perfect.
Apologies for that.
No worries.
Okay, so I've kind of mentioned about how to make, or how do you make the most of your launch? What should you do? And there's a few things that I always like to share with people, because after all, visibility is one key way of growing your audience, of engaging with your audience and things like that. And launching is a great way, a great visibility exercise for your business and your brand. So some of the things that you might want to consider, if you haven't already, these are just 4 things that are available to anyone, anywhere, and free of charge as well. There are sort of next level, upper level things, but primarily these 4 things you can go in, plug and play at your leisure. So the very first one is having a sales page when you're launching. So this is a sales page for either signing up to a challenge or your actual group program or course. The reason why you might want to set up a separate sales page is because it gives you the kind of freedom and flexibility of sharing this as a URL in any kind of posts, comments, talks, and anywhere like that. So that's one of the huge kind of benefits, rather than sending potential clients, potential people to simply go to your home page to find the information for themselves. Having that dedicated page where you sort of tell them what they need to know, hopefully entice them to sign up, is really key, and it makes it a really smooth customer journey in that sense as well. The next one is, so if you're running an event style of launch, for example, a challenge or whatever, you could choose to use an Eventbrite kind of website. So there's Ticketailor, Eventbrite, or any others, where you would set up an event of its own, where people can sign up, And the benefit of going to sort of a separate site like that is they've got their own search functions, so they act a bit like a Google for events. They have a really easy like delegate management, registrations, data capture type of method, which makes it really easy to just plug into and go. If that's not something you want to consider, you could set up an event on LinkedIn or Facebook at your leisure as well, and simply invite people to that page instead. Launch specific website, that it can either run off your own website, the page, or have a launch specific. So you'll find sort of big famous names doing things like sort of setting up a landing page, and that's essentially what that means. So a landing page where then you sign up to maybe text messages or some sort of automating messenger pings for the launch. So that would be the kickoff of that. The second way to promote is through social media. Having your business page or your group is one place, of course. Making sure that you kind of invite people and talk about your launch and talk about what it is that you're running, a challenge or an event, and get the engagement up on that. You could also, the target audience groups, the TA groups is target audience groups. You could sort of, if you're part of any communities, if you're networking socially anywhere like that, share, your excitement about your upcoming challenge or upcoming masterclass in those as well. Video content. Many people, even if you're an introvert, and video is not your one of your favorite ways of getting in front of people, video is really powerful. If you do, say, a pre-recorded message, for example, you could do personalized invitations or voice notes, I suppose, as well now. Just something to stand out from the crowd, just something to stand out from then however many notifications your potential customers have on there. Again, adding short snippets, videos, some tips or something that you might want to share with the end kind of target call to action of join my challenge if you'd like to learn more about this, or I'm going to share XYZ in my workshop on this and this date. So have that call to action and invite people to join. And again, you can add video content on your page and group. And the beauty of video content, of course, if you can do a pre-recorded, or whether it's live or pre-recorded, doesn't matter. Pre-recorded tends to take a bit of stress away, maybe, I don't know, but some people actually prefer going live, so it's whatever goes really. But the kind of the purpose of video content is that there's really very few ways of communicating that gives you that sort of full experience as if they're in the room with you, as if they're talking with you. So it's the perfect way to build that trust, know, like, and trust with your clients, with your prospects. So it's a really nice way to connect and to kind of break down those barriers. And the fourth way to promote is through an email campaign. So and what I mean with this is that that's essentially a one-to-one communication with your clients, with your prospects. It's a direct in their inbox, dropping in your messaging, your kind of invitations into their world, into the noisy world of social media. So it's a direct kind of way. All those contacts on social media as well, something to bear in mind. I always tell my clients to make sure they have a backup. And what I mean by that is all your followers and contacts, connections that you have on socials are actually not yours. Your account could be hacked, your rights could be taken away, whether it's a group, a buzzing community, a page, or personal profile. it could be blocked and you would lose everything. So make sure you have a backup, and that is actually having an email list. And, you know, everyone starts with a 0. Everyone's got to start somewhere. So if you don't have a list right now, don't panic, just start today. And really, that's, you know, your email data, your client's email data is your business real estate. That's yours to keep. You can take that, you can migrate it, you can move it to a different CRM system, whatever. That's for you to keep. So keep hold of that and grow it and nurture it, and kind of make a point of that. Okay, has anyone got any questions so far? I'm conscious I'm running through.
Yes, there was a question from Sue, wasn't there? Where are you?
Oh, yes. So how do you launch via an event? You create if you want to large target. Okay. So that's kind of more about, where are your biggest number of clients? Where do you have most connections? So TA group, just to quickly, target audience group. So this is any kind of prospect clients, prospect customers that you might be hanging out in front of. And so you can set up an event on LinkedIn, or you can set up an event on Facebook, but choose the platform that's got the most sort of audience on there for you. If that would be the priority that I would go by. The reason being is, of course, if you set up an event on Facebook and say, for example, that's where you've got most, you know, you're most active, that makes it really easy for you to then invite people to that page, make sure that they know what you're doing, you know, and keep revisiting that with the people, whether it's through direct messages or whatever. So yeah, pick the platform that's got the most followers or connections on. Okay, so just checking where I am. So the next thing I wanted to share with you was where to start with your with marketing your launch, and to kind of help you minimize the negative feelings and to help you minimize the burnout phases, or getting overwhelmed or anything else. You might like to consider a few of these things. So the first one is, where are my customers? Where you know, where do I find them? Where do I engage with them? What kind of things do they post, talk about? Can I contribute? And do I enjoy that as well? So think about, where do you also like to spend your time? Because this will have an impact on how fast that platform or that channel will grow for you, and how engaged your audience will be, because the more you engage, the more they engage. It's kind of like a, you know, a receptive kind of relationship on there. So have a think about that, and focus on the channels. So this is what number one really means, is focus on the channels that have the most potential, and that's, where are your customers? Where are you going to put out your content? Where are they going to be exposed to that? And where are you going to engage with them? So you definitely don't need to be on every platform out there. Just, you know, for that little crumb that might come down, if you don't enjoy video, if you don't enjoy creating reels or whatever else is going on with Instagram, don't do it. There are plenty of other platforms that you can stick into. The second one is the foundations. And what I mean about this is actually the foundations of your profile. So making sure that all the links are up to date, making sure that your visuals, your profile picture is on there. So many people I come across that like have a picture of their pet or a flower or something like that. You know, if you're using your social profile as a way to connect with people, as a way to communicate, as a way to build your profile or presence on the platform. Make sure it's your photo that they're seeing if they like what you say or like what you do and want to find out more. You know, that's how they're going to connect with you. And before you kind of, you know, cut your losses on Facebook, for example, and decide to try LinkedIn, make sure you get good and you try all the things that you can within one platform before you sort of spread yourself too thin or decide to chuck something completely. So really kind of get a good understanding of how that platform works, how to grow on it, how to be proactive with it, how to grow engagement in it, and then go on to another one. Because there's nothing, you know, each platform has their own nuances, their own rules. What works on one might not work on another. Hashtags, algorithms, you name it. Keeping on top of that, if you're trying to also learn how to use something, is a lot. So really focus and kind of hone in on what you enjoy, where your clients are, the type of content that you like to put out. Can play their role in that as well. Decision making. The third bullet point is very much about getting to know your audience. So this is where, you know, if you are in communities and you're engaging and you're taking part in there, listening is going to be one of the huge pieces of activities that you'll be doing, is listening for what comes up for people, what kind of questions they have, what kind of advice people are giving, what problems they might be having that you could contribute to helping or supporting them. So being helpful is going to be one of the, you know, most important things. So don't worry if, you know, you're having a brain fog day or you're not sure what to post or what to talk about. It's more important to engage and sort of connect with people and be social, like one of the other bullet points cover there. Then kind of constantly churn out content that is going to tire you out, and it's probably not going to be seen by a lot of people. So engage, show up, ask questions and be curious. Do some research, some market research, whether it's within your own community, whether it's in the sort of another community. Ask questions as well and find out where people are at, what they need help with, what they're struggling, where they're stuck, those kind of things. And then the final one is don't forget the backup. So this is what I was saying about the email list, and making sure that you have something to back up that. Just checking if we've got any questions. Oh, okay, no questions. All right. And then I've just got the final kind of piece of information to share with you. And this is the sort of the essential pieces to make your launch as stress-free as possible, or to alleviate the stress as much as possible. The very first essential piece is the foundations. So I mentioned a little bit in the previous slide about having the foundations. So this is the pure basic of having your profile picture. But in terms of your social platform profile, for example, you've got the cover image, you've got the headline or the job title or whatever. Make sure that's clear for people to know exactly what you do, who you help, and who you are, what you do. Make sure that any links that you're sharing are up to date and are working. If you got any featured products, any digital things that you want people to download or get access to, make sure they're listed on your profile. And make it really easy for people to kind of find out more about you or get in touch with you. Yes, it's very easy to drop you a personalized message or a direct message, but so many people don't, because they either get distracted by something else or get sidetracked or or sort of read something and then kind of forget to actually click on the button. So make sure your profile is as up to date as possible, and keep that really clear of what you do. And the next bit is about the leaving breadcrumbs on your channels. So what this means is that when you post a blog piece, for example, or kind of share any kind of content, make sure that those are really easy to, you have a call to action, you have a way of what do you want, make it clear, what do you want people to do once they've consumed that, learned that, read it and whatever. So have that call to action as well. And with the breadcrumbs, is kind of having those links and a way to kind of get in touch with you. That's really easy. And really the only other thing to mention about the profile is your profile. That's essentially your shop windows, just like your website. They work whether you sleep, whether you run, whether you walk, whatever you're doing, they're still at work. People could be clicking on that at any point of the day. So the more up to date and the more informative those places are for people, the easier it will be for them to kind of hop into your diary or booking a call or whatever else you want them to do. The second essential is focusing on who your audience is. So having that strategy and focus that I've mentioned before as well, is focus on who your audience is and how you can help them, which will ensure that you understand exactly what they need from you. And that's when what I was talking about, getting curious, asking questions, listening, making sure that you can solve the problems that they're having, or asking questions to find out where they're at if they're not sharing that information. Another way of researching, actually, you could just jump on the call with people as well, offer some calls in return for whatever it is. I've done some research calls. I quite enjoy taking part of those. So I've done some research calls where I was offered, I don't know, Costa voucher, or there was a half an hour of coaching, lots of things. I quite enjoy conversations anyway, so it's really easy to find out what kind of incentive or what kind of things people will sign up to, and you might find others that enjoy conversations if you've got questions that you're curious about. So understand what your clients need. And then by understanding what they need, you can create the messaging that resonates with the clients, that will attract your ideal client, that will then sort of encourage them from just watching and being kind of like passive consumers of what you're putting out there, to actually taking action. So being clear, again with the call to action, being clear of what you want them to do next is also really important. And it will also make sure, by having strategy and focus, it will also make sure that you show up in the right places, rather than putting out content for the sake of it, or putting out the style of content that never gets seen by somebody. So that's really, really important. It's really essential. And the third one is sort of the maximizing your impact. So anything that you are doing, whether it's putting out written content, whether it's creating videos, whether it's doing podcasts with people, make sure that you're making the most of the impact that these platforms, these ways, these methods can give you, and to make sort of the most impact is using the methods of maximum exposure. So use the channels that have the biggest number of followers for you, so it's a strong starting place. Think about other kind of big exposure giving avenues like PR. So think about magazines that your potential clients might be reading. You could building that kind of visibility and that profile out there. It's not all just in social media. Social media is an amazing platform, and it's a great avenue into listening and understanding what the clients need, and that kind of reactive and really live feedback from people. But there are other methods that you can get your message heard, and that can share your wisdom, and you can invite other people and more people into your world. So things like writing articles, taking part in sort of guest blogging exercises with kind of collaborations with people that are serving the same audience as you, which kind of means that you're helping each other, you're helping their audience learn from you, but you're also helping, you're growing your audience and they're growing theirs. But make sure you have a call to action, so for them to sign up, for them to do something once they've consumed that. And then utilizing sort of the algorithms and the hashtags and all those kind of things as well within the platforms of your choice. Learn to grow your audience organically. Make sure that you really understand your ideal client before investing in advertising and paid ads and things. There's so many, ads are amazing, but when you have those foundations and that kind of strategy behind it, otherwise it could just be wasting your money into kind of investing in that if you're not sure about, right, how clear are you on your ideal client and things like that. And learn how to grow your audience organically as well. So and kind of ensure that you grow it every day as well. So make sure that it's a daily habit rather than once a month you'll add however many people or whatever to your list. So make sure it's a regular thing. If you have a lead magnet or some sort of a guide or something, make sure that you share this regularly. Make sure that you're having a call to action for people to follow you, if it's your page or whatever, so that you're constantly growing. And the very last thing on there is track the numbers. So to ensure that that you're progressing, just to keep an eye on that, because it's easy to say, I want to grow my followers or my connections by 200 in the first quarter. But make sure that you take into account where you are at and where is that going to take you, and track those growth things. And sometimes it's also a good exercise to look at what particular activities have grown your audience more than anything else. So that gives you an indication of what you should do more of, because it's clearly working a lot better for you. So it's kind of giving it a go, doing the things, and then really sort of getting more strategic and focused around, right, what do I need to do? What's working? What are my audience liking? Where, what's attracting at the moment? And just kind of getting a bit more clearer picture of what works out there for you, because everyone is different. What's working for one may not work for the other. And the very last thing, I know I've covered a lot of things here today. The very last thing I wanted to share with you is one of my favorite quotes by Brené Brown is, we don't have to do it all. We were never meant to. And basically what this refers, at least to me, that's how I interpret it, is that when we started running a business because we wanted to coach or teach someone or inspire someone, we never thought we're going to do the marketing, the admin, the accounts, the whatever other things. So don't feel like you need to learn it all and do it all alone. There are ways to outsource, to look at different avenues and things like that. And you're never meant to learn how to do marketing overnight either, or how to write converting content. There are specialists who do those things for years, day in, day out. There's a reason for that, because it takes time and skill and practice and things like that. So so yeah, so those are the things that's kind of the thought I wanted to leave you with, is that I've shared a lot in there, and but don't feel like you need to all of a sudden feel like you need to be the pro at it all. Yeah, over to questions. That's kind of the end. The only other thing
No, go ahead.
The only other thing I wanted to share is the ways to work with me. I've got 2 ways to work with me, and that's a group program, which is a Launch Foundations Live. It's open for a waiting list at the moment, and I've got a one-to-one offer of working with me to create your sustainable launch method. And what I mean by sustainable is that when we do the foundational work and we set out what that bespoke launch method is for you, every time you launch, and you can launch as soon as sort of the following month, or if you wish, it means that you can scale your business with every launch that you'd run. So once you've got that framework for the whatever stage of business you are at, you can then launch again, tweak something, add in new things, maybe ramp up something, launch again. And the very last thing I wanted to share with you is my guide to a no stress course launch content checklist. If that sounds of interest to anyone,
Sure does.
Please feel free to download. And then that's it. I'm going to stop sharing.
Well, I mean, thank you. And before I'm going to open up to questions, and please, I hope everybody feels at ease to open, to just basically unmute themselves and ask directly. But first of all, I wanted to say a big thank you. Thanks to you, my to-do list has grown tremendously. I thought I was just going to be making notes, but no, my to-do list, you really touched on some things where I think wherever you are in your business, whether you're launching the business or whether you're launching a new program within it, or etc., we all are faced with these same things every single time. And I think there are lots of things that I think we can realize from what you've said tonight. Sometimes the basics are not right. Or, for example, I have a tendency to just throw stuff out there on social media and hope it falls somewhere. Rather, it's all about the strategy and the focus. And I like that. And also some very practical tips like backup. I don't think I've ever backed up my list of of email people, etc. And sure, I could lose everything. So thank you very much. It was a lot. It was very thorough. And I think it was all applicable at whatever stage of the business you are. So thank you very, very much for that. Now, are there any questions? I know we've taken questions as we went along, but is there anything else? Anything in the, any detail, or, just unmute yourself and feel free to ask. No? No one have a, oh yes, Paula, go ahead.
Hi, thanks, Raimonda. That was great. I don't know whether I didn't pick it up, but I just wondered if you could explain a soft launch again, please.
Okay, so a soft launch is something that you unveil when you something without maybe a deadline or a closed door kind of element. So something without a kind of a date incentive to push people through, and it's something that you potentially will be sharing or unveiling in a drip feed kind of campaign and inviting people to take part, jumping on. So it sometimes works quite well for like an evergreen type of course that's just available there for people to download at any time. But really that does tend to kind of be for only selective kind of, maybe I'd almost say it's for selective audience sizes as well, because it requires, you do tend to need to incentivize audience, to be honest, because there is so much choice. They could just sit there and just watch your emails drop into the inbox and not actually take any action. So it's got to be really, really compelling offer, and kind of making sure that you regularly drip feed that in, and the date kind of deadline, closing doors, not opening again for another 6 months or whatever it is, tends to work quite well, because it makes people kind of realize what they could be missing.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? I mean, I think also when I'm thinking, you know, we're talking about burnout here. I mean, what I particularly liked is also the fact that, you know, we're surrounded by people launching and everybody seems to be doing it better than us with less stress, or they seem to know how to do everything. And we're a bit like, oh, what's wrong with me? You know, well, why am I not doing it like they are? And it's not true. So, I mean, the first of all, the listening to, okay, what sort of a person am I? Which one of those ways to launch comes more naturally to me? There are many ways, and same as our audience is also very different. We have different ways which feel good for us, or even depending on, you know, depending on times, you know, maybe the launches that I would do now are radically different than the launches I did 20 years ago when I was a lot more shy. So it's tuning into ourselves first and thinking, okay, the important thing is to get my message out there. Which way comes with the least resistance, knowing that we are going to go outside our comfort zone each time we take something new out there. And also the fact that whichever way we choose, we do, however, need to cover the foundations. We do need to get our basics back, and we need to revisit them. I think I graduated with IAPC&M in 2007. That's a while back. You know, I mean, I need to regularly go back in. Obviously, I have checked my profile since. I mean, I don't look like that anymore. But I mean, to really more often than that, go back in and say, okay, you know, how aligned, you know, the language that I'm using, am I still targeting the people that I did back then? No, I'm not. I'm now targeting fabulous after 50 people. So the language that you use is also different and the pain points are different. So thank you for that reminder as well, to regularly go back. And as you said, our profile is our shop window. You know, we're a brand. Even if we do nothing, we're a brand. Oh, you're the person who, so that really is, that was very important. I thought, okay, so I see people are saying thank you. Rosemary says thank you. And Ava says thank you. And if there are no more questions, I say thank you, because it's not about, you know, quantity of time. I think that, you know, we can have some very intense, very short sessions or longer sessions. It's not about filling a full hour. It's about the quality of what's been delivered. And you've given us a lot of food for thought and a lot of very practical items, which I wrote down immediately in my agenda to make sure that they don't just fall off the table with yet another sheet of paper where I've scribbled notes. So I invite you all to really, you know, take to heart what Ray has shared with us, and to make your own, you know, bullet points of things that you need to do and that we need to do it. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And good luck with everything that you're doing. And thank you for sharing such valuable content and for giving us that downloadable tool as well. All the very best to all of you. Till next time. Bye-bye. Have a lovely evening, everyone.